Hello and welcome. We are going to wait to see if the connection is all right. Hopefully you guys can see me. We will wait for this live to start. Because I'm using a new program, it's a little bit different for me. And it's a little bit strange to be back. I've been in Irkutsk. I've actually missed posting about this topic as it happened, but I'm happy to go live and just go over this. I did miss, like I said, the opportunity to post a video when this was recent news, but I'm gonna kind of I'm gonna make up for it with this live. Today we're going to be going over some of the key points that were mentioned in the Tucker Carlson interview, and we're also going to be talking about how that changed the world perspective on the Russia-Ukraine conflict, because there are Western media channels now that are covering this subject a lot more freely, a lot more carefree, I guess, not so one-sided against Russia. Again, it's not about supporting Russia, it's just about being neutral and telling the truth. So we will be going and watching some of the interview again, and then we're going to be talking amongst ourselves how this changes the world. Now, if you don't know me, if you're new to this channel, my name is Daniel. I'm actually a veteran who's been living in Russia for almost 3 years. And my perspective about this whole situation is a little bit different than the rest of the people who make videos inside of Russia, because I actually didn't come here because I didn't like my country. I came here to explore, and I happen to be a veteran, which kind of ups the stakes when you're in Russia during a time of war. Especially if you read the title, it says we are in a proxy war against Russia. So that is the biggest difference between myself and the rest of the YouTubers. They are more like vloggers. They are showing you other things, and they do the same style of content as I do, but I do have the extra risk of being a veteran, and I do have an extra perspective when it comes to the conflict in Ukraine, because I do sometimes do military analysis. So there's my mother. My mom is, by the way, saying hello to you all who are watching. And we're just going to get started here. I'm going to be popping up the interview, and I'm going to be doing this in bits, and then we're going to get to be talking, right? So please do consider hitting like. This is going to be a discussion live. Here we go. And again, this is all going to be pinned after the live down below. Hello, brothers and sisters. Here we go. Remember, this is a live, a video that has already been published. One second. Let me get this ready for you guys. While we do this, I would like to know where everybody's watching from. Usually we have regular viewers, so feel free to comment where you're watching from, so people in the chat can see we have people from the same area. Maybe you can make a friend.
Well, but
is this lagging? How bad am I lagging, by the way? Now that I'm about to do this, I'm wondering, is the stream working all right? I'm open to inviting guests on the lives. If in the future people want to join and have a discussion like we do on Defense Politics Asia, I would absolutely be open to it, as long as the person has a microphone and headphones. Yeah, I'm totally open to doing lives with them. Let me see what I can do here.
Minister Lavrov, thank you for doing this. Do you believe the United States and Russia are at war with each other right now?
I wouldn't say so. And in any case, this is not what we want. We would like to have normal relations with all our neighbors, of course, but generally with all countries on earth, especially with the great country like the United States. President Putin repeatedly expressed his respect for the American people, for the American history, for the American achievements in the world, and we don't see any reason why Russia and the United States cannot cooperate for the sake of the universe.
But the United States is funding a conflict that you're involved in, of course, and now is allowing attacks on Russia itself. So that doesn't constitute war?
We officially are not at war. But what is going on in Ukraine is some people call it hybrid war. I would call it hybrid war as well. But it is obvious that the Ukrainians would not be able to do what they're doing with long-range modern weapons without direct participation of the American servicemen.
That's the most important part for me. So the question is very simple. He asks the diplomat, this representative of the Russian government, Lavrov, who's a brilliant speaker, by the way. He first asks him, "Hey, are we at war?" And the honest truth is that no, we are not. Obviously, right? A lot of the viewers confuse a proxy war with actually a declaration of war. Now, when Tucker doesn't get the answer that he wants, because it's very obvious that we're at least in a proxy war, he asks him, "Hey, by the way, though, we are arming Ukraine and they are shooting long-range missiles into Russia." And then, only then does Lavrov say, "Okay, yes, we're in a proxy war." He doesn't call it a proxy war, which is a shame. He calls it a hybrid war. There's nothing hybrid about this war. This is not a word that we use in the military world, unless you're using like joint operations where it's air, land, and sea. Then it would be a different type of hybrid operation, right, to attack a certain location. But this is a proxy war. People are apparently calling it a hybrid war. This is not it. It's a proxy war. And just so you know, guys, there is proxy wars before the Cold War and after the Cold War. This was already existing. I want to make it clear to everybody who's watching that this is not new. Before World War II, superpowers emerged. This was already happening. Proxy wars have been happening since the beginning of war. It's a way of deteriorating your enemy's forces without you getting involved. Mercenaries, using mercenaries to fight your wars is a style of proxy war. Okay, so I wanted to get that out of the way. And it's important for the viewers who are not combat decorated, who haven't spent a day in a trench, to understand that Lavrov is making it very clear that the two conventional armies of the United States and of Russia are not directly fighting each other in trenches, in open field combat, in urban warfare. They are not fighting. The regular armies are not fighting. This is why in the beginning he declines, like, no, he's not accepting that we are at war. But the proxy war is very serious. I wanted to know what you guys think. Would you guys consider this proxy war and essentially like a declaration of war from the United States to Russia? Because it seems like Russia is ready to take what the world has to throw at it, and it's not really taking it to the next level, right? Because we know that they did use intercontinental missiles, and they did this, what is it called, Hazel? I don't really know the name. Lavrov is going to talk more about it, and he's such a brilliant speaker, actually. I like to see him answer questions.
And this is dangerous, no doubt about this. We don't want to aggravate the situation, but since ATACMS and other long-range weapons are being used against mainland Russia, as it were, we are sending signals, and we hope that the last one, couple of weeks ago, the signal with the new weapon system called the Reshnik,
Yes.
was taken seriously. However, we also know that some
Okay, let's see. One. So the thing where he says, I hope that they take it serious. I hope that they get the message. Let me get back to that really quickly.
be able to do what they're doing with long-range modern weapons without direct participation of the American servicemen. And this is dangerous, no doubt about this. We don't want to aggravate the situation, but since ATACMS and other long-range weapons are being used against mainland Russia, as it were, we are sending signals, and we hope that the last one, couple of weeks ago, the signal with the new weapon system called the Reshnik,
Yes.
was taken seriously. However,
That's what I was trying to say. Taken seriously. Over and over and over again, Russia has not been taken serious by the West. Now, we're going to be looking at another channel that's going to tie that idea together here. Just remember what Lavrov said, okay? For the people who are watching, just remember what Lavrov said, that, hey, take this serious. Take this serious because, you know, Russia has a history of sending messages to the West and then they're not being taken serious. Check this other clip out. This is from Value Entertainment, I think. And this segment here is actually going to be tying together what this guy Lavrov is talking about, about taking Russia serious when it says something, right? So here we go. Hopefully you guys can still hear me.
Guys, I'm a foreign agent. If you didn't, you're breaking the law. Something very weird that you need to know about. February of 2008, the current CIA director under Biden, William J. Burns, at the time was a U.S. ambassador to Russia, authored a confidential cable titled Niet means Niet, Russia's NATO enlargement red lines. In this document, the current CIA director, former ambassador to Russia, he conveyed Russia's strong opposition to NATO's eastward expansion, particularly regarding Ukraine and Georgia. He highlighted that Russia's officials viewed such enlargement as a potential military threat and a violation of their security interests. Burns warned that pursuing NATO membership for Ukraine could lead to an internal divisions, violence, or even civil war, potentially compelling Russia to intervene. This is February of 08. Right now we're what? November of 2024. 16 years ago, current CIA director, former ambassador of Russia, saying, guys, what are we doing? What are we doing? 16 years ago, this guy knew what was going to take place and is given a warning to U.S. They're like, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. And by the way, you know who was president in 08? Obama, 1 month after inauguration, saying, don't mess with these guys.
Don't mess with these guys. That was an actual that was an American CIA director, right? if the CIA director is writing to the President of the United States telling him, do not mess with the Russians, do not mess with the Russians, and they continue to push, this is why Lavrov is saying, hey, hopefully you're getting the message. Because the Americans themselves, like us, we have a problem where we overextend, we miscalculate, we underestimate everything. And this is why in the last 30 years we have been absolutely destroyed in foreign wars. This is why we have been unable to actually put together some sort of peace. We had it during President Trump's last 4 years in the presidency, but then Biden came and it kind of just went downhill really, really fast. We spiraled out of control. Now, I want to ask you guys a question if you're still watching. I want to know, with this thing that's happening in Syria, because we're also going to be talking about that. I want to talk about everything that's happening right now in Russia, because it's all affecting us who live here. Do you think that the issues in Syria are going to negatively affect Russia? There's a lot of news talking about how Russia lost Syria, Russia's doomed because of Syria this, Syria that. If you guys are into geopolitics, I would like to know what you think. Please comment in the comment section and I'll try to catch some comments while you guys are writing them. Because actually, as a military man, I think what's happening in Syria can turn out to be something that's compared to perhaps the pullout in Afghanistan, where Afghanistan actually was straight up an American loss. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, brother. Thank you for the never-ending support. And, you know, we have to talk about this as unbiased as possible. As you guys know, in Afghanistan, we spent, it had to be at least over 20 years. I mean, I saw men, some of my friends were fighting alongside their father, right? And in Syria, that's actually a problem that's been brewing for a long time. But what I'm asking you guys, do you guys see this as a problem for Russia? Is this something that's going to affect Russia directly? I see it as a similar situation as the Afghanistan withdrawal from America from Afghanistan. I think Russia is not going to have to withdraw itself maybe completely from Syria. I'm not sure, because I think I'm aware that they did have a port. They had a port there that they were renting out from Syria. So I'm interested in seeing your guys' comment on this topic. So I'm not sure. So Masha is saying, I'm not sure, but I'm wondering what it could mean for the United States or Russia. I'm suspicious about it though. Yeah, let me see if I can. I'm gonna try to add. Let me see, guys, 1 second. I'm trying to put, okay, I guess I could do this. No. Well, anyways, I'm going to be running over Lavrov's second more important point here, because we're going to be doing this in important topics. And one thing that I find fascinating, this is one of his best answers. 1 second. The sanctions. The sanctions. So just to give you an idea of what's about to happen, Tucker Carlson asks Lavrov, hey, by the way, if you want peace, would you consider asking the West to remove the sanctions, okay? Tucker Carlson asks Lavrov if Russia wants the sanctions removed. Keep that in mind. This is something that the West has leveraged over Russia since 2014. We're going to watch Lavrov's response. Please pay attention, because this right here is one of the most brilliant answers that any politician could have given. It is for sure one of Lavrov's best replies in this entire conversation. So we're going to go ahead and look at it. And please pay attention. And Thomas Me, thank you so much for supporting the channel, my friend. I really, really appreciate it. And thank you. Thank you, Wookie, for donating the membership. It's really nice of you. Here we go, guys. Thank you so much for all the support that's happening in the chat. Please remember, I am curious about reading your guys' opinions, okay? So here we go.
Pay attention to this in a very special way.
Would dropping sanctions against Russia be a condition?
I would say probably many people in Russia would like to make it a condition, but the more we live under sanctions, the more we understand that it is better to rely on yourself and to develop mechanisms, to develop platforms for cooperation with normal countries who are not unfriendly to you, and don't mix economic interest and policies, and especially politics. And we learned a lot after the sanctions started. Sanctions started under Obama. They continued in a very big way under first term of Trump. And these sanctions under the Biden administration are absolutely unprecedented. But what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, you know. And
well, but it also just drives...
They would be never kill us, so they are making us stronger.
And driving Russia east. And so the vision that I think sane policymakers in Washington had 20 years ago is, why not bring Russia into a Western bloc, sort of as a balance against the rising east? But it doesn't seem like that. Do you think that's still possible?
I don't think so. Recently, Putin was speaking at Valdai Club. Politologists and experts. He said we would never be back at the situation of early 2022.
Okay, before he continues, did you guys pay attention? He told them, no, I know, he knows, and it's so interesting that he recognizes that he knows that a lot of civilians in Russia are hurting by the sanctions. Like, the leaders in Russia understand that actually people here, even including me, we don't want the sanctions, right? If you're watching and you've never been to Russia, you're probably not going to understand. Some of the sanctions are annoying. Some of the sanctions are absolutely, like, they're such a drag to deal with. Worrying about how to pay for things, worrying about how to travel inside of Russia, worrying about getting produce, worrying about finding jobs outside, buying parts for different things, car parts. All of these things obviously affect the normal civilians. And Lavrov says, by the way, yes, maybe the people would like the sanctions to go away, but we're not willing to let the West use that as leverage for negotiations. This is where it becomes brilliant, because he tells them, he's not hiding the fact that they were hurt by the sanctions. He says when they started in 2014, he says who implemented the sanctions under the presidency, how they dealt with it. It only made them stronger. Like, Lavrov is showing all of his cards. There's nothing scarier than a guy who's willing to play like a game of blackjack, right? He's going to show you his cards and he's confident that he's going to beat you. That is crazy. That is unheard of. This is like the next level move. Normally, politicians are always going to try to lie their way out of a question. But Lavrov clearly states, yeah, many people want the sanctions gone. We are not going to let you use them as leverage. And he continues on, and he talks about this next part is really important as well. Because he says that President Putin himself doesn't believe that things are going to be back in the old days, right? This is where it gets pretty sad, man. This is where you see horrible, horrible politics being played in America, and it just goes down the drain. Russia is not someone you want as an enemy, and it's definitely not a country that you want even as a neutral state. You want it as an ally. You want Russia as an ally because it is a huge market in Europe. It is the most populated country in Europe. So there's a big problem there. Let me drink some water here, and I would love to get some questions from the viewers. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and put it in the chat and I'll get to it. Now, if I see any good questions, I'll be happy to answer them. The biggest problem that I see happening between Tucker and when he interviews people is the lack of the real deal questions. I know the first one was really good, but like I know you have to use a lot of tact, but if you got the guy in front of you, just ask him the nitty-gritty stuff. Like I wish it was a little bit more problematic between them. I wish he would have I think he actually bugged out more with Vladimir Putin than he did with Lavrov. Lavrov, because he's such a good speaker, just aimlessly, seamlessly answered the questions and weaved in and out so beautifully. And Putin, he's not a good talker like Lavrov. Some people might get mad, but yeah. So the wall behind me is wallpaper. This is Russian wallpaper here. A lot of you guys probably didn't know, but I moved out of my old apartment and I'm in a new apartment. So this is my new background, but I am working on moving out of this apartment and going to the city of Irkutsk. Yeah. So if there's no questions, we're going to continue with the video with Lavrov answering more questions. He's so brilliant. We're going to let him continue speaking about the sanctions. Let's see. So Michael wants to know how the visa thing is going to play out since all the nonsense is going on. Okay, nice. That's a really good question, Michael. So the visa process is still steady. Remember, no matter what happens in the world relations, the Russians are the ones who control who gets the visa, right? The Russians can decide who gets the visa, who doesn't. Your government, no matter if you're in the United States or you're in Canada, Australia, whichever country was accepted by Russia to apply for the shared values visa, overall, Russia controls who's going to get the visa. And there has been talks about getting this visa outside of your home country. So no matter what happens, Michael, there is a way to get the shared valued visa through a third country, and Russia always controls who gets the visa. Your country cannot stop you from applying for a visa as long as you're not, as long as you have your passport and you're not in some like crazy terrorist watch group. You will be able to mail or walk into an embassy and receive a visa. So hopefully that answers your question. No matter what the relationship is between the United States and Russia, or your mother country and Russia, Russia controls who's going to get the visa. Russia controls who's coming into their country. Yeah. So Gloria wants to know, now Assad is out in Syria, what will happen to the Russian bases? Usually with things like these, where it's I would consider them terrorists because they're not Syrian rebels. A lot of the news will say that those are Syrian rebels. And if you guys want, we can look at some interviews and videos of this. But to call them Syrian rebels is a slap in the face of anybody who's watching. These people are terrorists. They're an organization that is backed by many groups. I'm not even going to name who they're backed by, but just understand the bases are safer than the Syrian bases. A Russian base is better protected and better guarded than the Syrian bases. So we just have to wait and see if Russia is going to allow the terrorists to come and take it. Then this is going to be known in the next 24 hours to 48 hours. So we have to wait 24 to 48 hours to understand fully if Russia is going to let the terrorists take them or if Russia is going to break a deal with the terrorists who took over Syria. I hope that makes sense. Right now, we are too in the gray zone. Okay. Ever so often, so like the connection goes away from the microphone and it disconnects it for some reason. So just bear with me, guys. This is going to be probably happening for the next 30 minutes while we're here. Now, remember, for the person who asked what it's going to happen to the Russian bases, I'm going to give you an example. In Afghanistan, the Taliban during the Afghanistan war were promised that we would leave, and essentially the United States made a deal with terrorists. So Russia is going to have the opportunity to make a deal with the terrorists who took over Syria. But again, in the next 24 hours to 48 hours, we will know if Russia is going to make a deal with them or if Russia is going to flat out just fight them. Now, if Russia decides to fight, this is going to hurt their ability to fight in the conflict in Ukraine. So in my opinion, it is best, the best option for Russia is to break a deal with the terrorists. Thank you for that question. I hope I answered it, Gloria. And not a lot of people will be that honest, you know. The truth is that Russia is not set right now to be fighting a war in two continents. So this is not a good move for Russia to try to fight the terrorists. The best thing for Russia to do is break a deal with them. Now, here is the problem. The terrorists are backed by someone probably who Russia is not okay with, which might make things difficult. So, here's a comment. In my opinion, Russia will make a deal with Syria opposition and they will keep their bases and life will go on. Yes, this is the best case scenario. This is the best case scenario, and depending on who has more money to offer these people, who has the better deal, that is what's going to ultimately happen. By the way, if you're just joining the stream, please consider hitting like. We are going over the interview that Lavrov had with Tucker Carlson, and I am answering questions from the people in the chat to the best of my abilities. So we're going to continue on with this little segment here. Lavrov was talking about what Putin thinks is going to happen between the United States relationship with the West. I mean, Russian relationship with the West.
That's when he realized for himself, apparently, not only he, but he spoke publicly about this, that all attempts to be on equal terms with the West have failed. It started After the demise of the Soviet Union, there was euphoria. We are now part of the liberal world, the democratic world, end of history. But very soon it became clear to most of the Russians that in the 90s we were treated at best as junior partner, maybe not even as a partner, but as a place where the West can organize things like it wants.
This is where it becomes a little bit sad. I've made many videos talking about how when the Soviet Union fell, the West just considered Russia like the Soviet Union. Now, in a way, Russia it did inherit. It is the de facto baby child of the Soviet Union as the larger state. It was the capital, you could say, of the Soviet Union. Russia was the big daddy. But the reality is Russia tried to be even standings with the West. And Lavrov here is actually telling you the West just viewed Russia as a place where they can manipulate and do whatever they want. This is where it becomes really sad, because if you look at the media, guys, usually the bad guy, the evil guy, is the Russian. Since I've lived in Russia, I don't think I've seen one movie where they're showing, the Americans are going to invade Russia or something like this. Maybe it exists, but it's not a common thing to hear or see or experience a world here in Russia where your fear is, oh, the Americans are going to invade Russia. The Americans are going to invade Russia. That is not something that goes through the minds of the people here. And I think Lavrov in this segment essentially is letting Tucker Carlson know, we know that you guys have been doing this to us, and now we accept that we'll never be equals, and we'll never actually be friends because you continue to fall into your old habits of thinking that Russia's the Soviet Union. Can you guys please, let's see. Question, does Putin speak fluent German? Yes, so of course the president of Russia speaks, he either speaks, but for sure he is fluent in understanding German. Remember, he was stationed in East Germany during his job in the KBG, and he actually managed to learn German. I'm pretty sure he understands English, as English is a Germanic language, so if you understand German, you will be better at speaking English. So his English level must be much better than your Russian. That is guaranteed. Guys, please do consider hitting like. It supports the channel. Let's try to get it up so that more people could probably tune in. The more people that hit like, I think YouTube spreads the video out, and we can have this nice little conversation amongst ourselves. Since I've lived in Russia, I have felt no discrimination for being an American. And the majority of the people know me as the veteran, an American veteran. I'm an Afghanistan war veteran. And I gotta tell you, it was so stressful. It was so stressful in the beginning to tell people that I was a veteran, because I don't hide it. I say it because it's a part of me. It was a long story, I guess, in my life. And after I was 18, I joined the United States Marine Corps. And here in Russia, men do military service. So I kind of have a bond with a lot of the military men here in Russia. I have a bond with them. And I am combat decorated, so I have a legitimate bond with these men in my town, especially in Siberia. The majority of the warriors are from Siberia. And so, again, I want to just say that it was uncomfortable at first, but now it's a lot normal for me just to openly speak that I am a veteran. And yeah, it is what it is. Does anybody have any questions about life in Russia, especially if you're planning on coming? I could kind of break the ice for you and give you some reality checks, because I'm going to be showing you something else that's really important. There was a guy, an American, who was recently arrested inside of Russia. We are going to be talking about him as well. I will be making a full video about this guy in the future, but just know you can still get deported, you can still get arrested. We're going to be looking at his story. It's really important. So Ilario says, do you think the European Union will continue to be as it is now if Russia wins the war against Ukraine? So the reality of the European Union is that it's becoming poorer and poorer. It's never really gone up, right? It hit a peak of power, economic power, military power, trading power, and influence power, right, Ilya? Like, it hit its peak already. And the European Union has been going down, down, down. It's never been going on an upwards trend. So when it's not if Ukraine, it's not if Russia wins. Russia has to win. There's no world where Ukraine wins. And I'm not saying this because I support Russia. I'm saying this because this is the reality. My feelings when I'm answering this question, whatever I feel, has nothing to do with the answer. Russia's going to win the war, and the European Union is going to continue to really become a low-tier organization. So, Brian Reinhold, thank you so much for the donation, my friend. I truly appreciate it. Let's see. In my opinion, both of Tucker's interviews missed an opportunity to be direct and speak plainly to the U.S. public. Yes, this is what I feel as well. Instead, they use diplomatic complex for long-form speech or long-form speaking. Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct, Brian. So, I think Tucker Carlson, instead of, there was portions where he could have said, this is the interview portion, but then he could have turned to the United States public and repeated things that they answered and made it clear, right? He could have just clarified an answer and looked directly into the camera and told the American public, this is what's happening, this is what this guy just said, this is how it can affect you in the United States, this is how it has affected us in the United States. Like, we need someone who speaks to the public like this, right? He's sitting with the diplomat, he's sitting with the Russian president, he's getting the information there. He can take a second to look and break the fourth wall. I don't know if this is what you mean, Brian, but this is what I feel. Like, this is exactly what I feel. They could have broke the was it the fourth wall? Or is it, yeah, it has to be the fourth wall, right? So, like, in my opinion, they need to break that fourth wall and speak directly to the public after getting the answers from these people who are, in a way, influencing the lives of our people in the United States. So, thank you so much for the donation, and thank you for gearing the topic into that direction. There is a problem where these long-form interviews, where they happen, it's just question and answer. I want them to break and say, look, he just said this is how it affects us. So please let me know if you understand what I'm saying, Brian. Thank you again. So let's see, we have, why do you think Russia is invested all these money and resources into Syria? Beamy's asking why Russia's invested in Syria. Well, they have a port in Syria that they rent out, and this is a warm water port, and it's a strategic location. So this is why they're invested. And it's not only Russia, right? A lot of countries are invested in Syria. Let's see. We have any more questions? I would be okay. So here's a question: what do you think about the human trafficking situation in Russia? Okay, I will answer this to the best of my ability. I saw a report that there's more than 500 agencies selling girls to rich Arabs. Okay, so the reality is that human trafficking is a huge global problem. This is not a Russian problem. This is a global problem. And if you want to talk about where it's the biggest problem, it's actually in Mexico. It's not in Europe. It's in Mexico. It's in one of my countries where I hold citizenship. Mexico actually is the biggest trafficker of humans there ever was. I would compare Mexico with the slave trade. Back in the 18 and 1700s, Mexico is at that level. The amount of humans that Mexico traffics is it's unprecedented. So yeah, thank you for that question. I don't really know about trafficking in Russia. I just know that it is a world problem, and Mexico is the leader of world problems when it comes to human trafficking. Yes. So when people ask about Russia and they ask about those kind of things, just remember that the real problem is somewhere else. So thou, a channel member, is saying the last human trafficking I heard about was P. Diddy. So America? Yeah, that's really funny. Question: have you watched the channel Inside Russia? Is this part of the NGO misinformation? I haven't seen it. But you know, there's misinformation is everywhere. Even right now, as we're watching, this can be misinformation. And the most important thing that you have to do is choose which misinformation you want to watch, because nobody's 100% correct. Even if I take this tripod here, right, and you're looking at it, and I tell you this tripod is great, and you're looking at it, and you're looking at it, there's still misinformation in that, because the way maybe you're colorblind, maybe you're perceiving it different. You have to choose what misinformation you're willing to tune into, and then you have to process it. But being ignorant is not an excuse for being in a bad situation. So try to be informed and look at many different avenues of information, right? So that's my answer to you. Guys, we're almost at 100 likes. Please consider hitting like. I really appreciate your support up until now, but I would truly like it if it got up to 100, because now we're going to be looking at another incident that's super important. And I'm going to show you this guy that got arrested in Russia. And the reason why we're looking at it is because he made the mistake of doing something that a lot of people kind of look over this, guys. When traveling to Russia, you really have to pay attention to everything. You have to make sure that you're following the rules, because I know in some countries they have laws, but in Russia they actually enforce them. That's the crazy part, right? There's laws in Russia and they enforce them. So we're going to be looking at this guy who got arrested. A lot of you guys know sabbatical or something like this. And he actually replied to my comment. We're going to be looking at my comment and his reply. This is going to be awesome. So please, guys, stay tuned for this. You guys are not going to regret watching this segment. It is so funny. He calls me out on some funny stuff. Okay, so first we're going to be looking at my comment. Okay, guys, can you guys read my comment here? So I wrote, people like you make Americans look dumb, because he got arrested for traveling near border regions without a passport. So I'm just going to let you guys know right now, here and then, this guy gets arrested for going around without a passport. And please, again, hit like on this video, because this is going to be one of the funniest parts. He actually goes on and flames me. He's a huge channel. And what you need to know is that I watched his videos, and I said, hey, come to Siberia. I never said I wanted to collaborate. I have to clear this up. I never wanted to collaborate with this guy, but I did want him to come to Siberia and look at Lake Baikal. Sorry, excuse me. So, just know that this guy got arrested, and now look at the comment that I left. People like you make America look dumb, and you also make Russia look bad. You're an absolute clown for not having your passport while traveling anywhere, smart one. Had you had your passport, you would have never been charged for your misdemeanor, and they would have been able to identify you immediately and see your visa. I live near the Russian border with Mongolia. I have dealt with FSB plenty. They are just doing their job. You felt entitled to be traveling without identification. Your story doesn't add up. Anyways, in the end, you left out a lot of things. Grow up. This is what I wrote to him, guys. And if you go to that video, you're going to be able to read it by yourselves. But I called him out. I've been many times questioned by FSB. FSB is a normal organization. Like, I'll say FSB, it's not the boogeyman. FSB is an organization that takes care of the borders of Russia. It does internal security for Russia, right? It's taking care of the Russia. So it's obvious that he's going to meet these guys. So he first says, I got arrested. And then he brings up the boogeyman, the FSB. He's a dum-dum. He's an absolute dum-dum. FSB is not the KGB. You're not going to be arrested by the FSB and thrown into a Siberian jail. So, now look at his reply. This is where it gets good. This is where it gets good. This is where it gets good. And by the way, the FBI in the United States is not allowed to go into your house. It's not allowed to arrest you. The FBI also can do the same thing the FSB does, and it does it to a lot of people in the United States. The ATF, ICE, all these different organizations do the same things in the United States. Russia has the equivalent. Let's move on. Check this out. Look at his answer. His answer is absolutely comedy. Here we go. So, oh look. He answered, let me make this bigger here. He answers, one second. He answers, oh look, it's the guy who a month ago was repeatedly begging me for a collaboration. Dude, just because you couldn't get laid in America and went to Russia for the women doesn't mean you have to do propaganda for them. Or maybe it does. Your channel clearly isn't going anywhere otherwise. I've told half the story so far. I will show court documents for everything in my next one. The FSB were absolute scum, and only the biggest of grifters would claim they're just doing their job. So, this is where it gets so funny. This is where it gets so funny because he took it personal. He took it personal, right? If he would have had his visa, then and there, he would have never looked suspicious. What man travels to another country and doesn't carry their visa and their passport identification? You have no identification. Of course you're going to be handled. Of course the FSB is now going to be looking at you as a target. But the FSB, of course, somebody said FSB is the ancestor of the KGB. This has nothing to do with what the FSB can do now. The FSB can't legally make you disappear. And this is why I'm telling you guys, this segment is so funny, because this guy right here, I'm waiting for his next video, because I will make a response video to what he makes. Calling me out like if I can't get laid in the United States. Look how he looks. Look how this guy looks. This is hilarious. Now we're going to look at what he looks like. And I'm not trying to be mean or anything, but this is the guy that says that I couldn't get laid in the United States, so I went to Russia. Now, I'm not trying to start beef with this guy. I'm trying to give you guys a heads up. If you want to travel to Russia, you need to bring your passport. Do not be this guy. This guy right here. Do not be that guy. This guy doesn't know what to do when traveling to another country. This guy got arrested by the FSB after he got detained by the police. FSB came because he didn't have a passport. Had he had a passport, he would have probably been let go with a misdemeanor or actually the misdemeanor is not carrying the passport. This is probably why they took him to the FSB. So anyways, it's hilarious. Yeah, and again, I didn't ask him to collaborate with me. In fact, I'll give you the guys the proof. Every video he made in Russia, I did ask him to come to Siberia. One second. Here it comes. Here. On the previous video, this is the video before, guys. Look at this. I left this comment. I said, okay, let's see what the non-normal episode comes out looking like, because he said, this is going to be the last episode I make that's normal in Russia. I said, I have my doubts that there was foul plays in Russia without you doing something wrong. This is before we all knew that he was in the borderlands without a passport. So I said, I suspect that there was no foul play without you doing something wrong. And I said, I hope I'm wrong. I gave him the benefit of the doubt, but we're going to be looking at the other comment that I left in one of his videos. And believe me, him saying that I wanted to collaborate is absolute nonsense. Hell, I can't even find a video where I say come to Siberia now. Yep. Yeah, that's, oh, here we go. Check this out, guys. Look at this. This is where he gets the I want to collaborate. I comment, come to real Russia in Siberia. This is it right here. Come to real Russia in Siberia. And from that comment, he said that I wanted to collaborate. Anyways, don't be that dum-dum. If you come to Russia, carry your passport. Okay? You need your passport if you're coming into Russia. So, any more questions? Before we continue on with the Lavrov interview, I want to take some questions. I just wanted to show you what I'm planning on doing. I'm planning on making a video on this guy because he's an absolute baboon. And he also, I mean, I'm not handsome, but I'm not looking like a caveman. That guy is looking like he got hit on the head. And by saying that I came to Russia for women is also kind of indirectly calling the women in Russia, you know, kind of like paid women. So this guy did get laid in America, and then he was arrested by FSB. I guess, yeah. Yeah, this guy, in my opinion, he's actually the type of traveler that does travel for SEX. Let's just get that out of the way. He has to be the kind of guy that travels for SEX. There's no way that guy is getting anything in America. He's a traveler getting SEX all over the world. So he kind of baited himself into reality. And that is something that I am going to bring up in the video. Here we have Sergey. Too many times to do this dumb. Anyways, he's one of the guys that commented under my comments. Pretty funny that he's here. Yeah, so Bobby's saying, I watch Sabbatical. He podcasts. He travels everywhere. He knows the rules. Well, if he knew the rules, he broke it on purpose, and I think then he wanted to get arrested without his passport, which is absolutely ridiculous. I don't even carry my actual ID on me here. So Beardy's asking, in where you're from in South Africa, you can get robbed. The possibilities of you getting robbed in Russia are very, very low. I've never seen someone get robbed in Russia. Where I'm from, we see people get robbed, and it's 100% that you will see people get robbed in Los Angeles. I've never seen someone get robbed in Russia, so you should be fine. That is just how it is. So let's continue on with the interview that Lavrov had with Lavrov had this interview with Tucker Carlson, and we're just going to continue on the interview on another very important section here, and it's going to have to do with Chinese and Russian alliance. So remember, keep in mind, the Russia is pretty good friends with China right now, and this is what Lavrov has to say when Tucker Carlson asks, are you always going to be friends with China? Here we go, guys. Please stay with me as we continue.
I mean, there are certain orbits, and now it's BRICS versus NATO, US versus China. And it sounds like you're saying the Russian-Chinese alliance is permanent.
Well, we are neighbors. We are neighbors,
Of course.
and geography is very important. And
But you're also neighbors with Western Europe. You're part of it, in effect.
Well, through Ukraine, and the Western Europe wants to come to our borders. And there were plans that, were discussed almost openly to put British naval bases on the Sea of
Yes.
Azov. Crimea was eyed, dreaming about creating NATO base in Crimea, and so on and so forth. We have been very friendly with Finland, for example. Overnight, the Finns came back to early years of preparation for World War II, when they were best allies of Hitler, and all this neutrality, all this friendship, going to sauna together, playing hockey together, all this disappeared overnight. So maybe this was deep in their hearts, and the neutrality was burdening them, and niceties were burdening for them. I don't know.
That's totally possible. Can you negotiate with Zelensky? You've pointed out that he has exceeded his term. He's not, democratically elected president of Ukraine anymore. So do you consider him a suitable partner for negotiations?
Putin addressed this issue as well, many times. In September 2022, during the first year of the special operation, Zelensky, in his conviction that he would be dictating the terms of the situation also to the West, he signed a decree prohibiting any negotiations with Putin's government. And when during public events, after that episode, Putin is asked why Russia is not ready for negotiations, he said, don't turn it upside down. We are ready for negotiations, provided it will be based on the balance of interest.
There's always, it's always Russia who doesn't want to play nice. It's always Russia who doesn't want to look for peace. It's always Russia who's the bad guy. And Lavrov is essentially saying, hey, all of these problems are happening because you guys just can't play ball evenly, right? And by the way, guys, I pinned our Telegram. It's the Russian Experience. If you would like to contact me directly, if you need any type of help with visas, if you need any type of help with anything to do with Russia, click the link and join our Telegram, guys. I think we're almost at 2,000 members there on the Russian Experience. It is a forum-based group where you can look at different topics, meet new friends. There's people actually that ended up meeting each other in this forum and have become really good friends. So please join our forums, the Russian Experience. John Ravioli wants to know how I met my wife. I met her here in Russia, in the city of Irkutsk, where I'm still living. And yes, I met her 2 years ago, so almost 3. Any other questions? Is there any other questions for me about Russia, like how life is, how anything to do with Russia? Is it safe to travel to Russia? I wanted to travel there, but I read stories about tourists being detained at the airport. So, yes, it is true that they do look through your phone if you go through secondary, like a secondary inspection, right? Unfortunately, it's true. I don't want people to be scared about this. I mean, they're not going to be looking at your hidden photos and all that crazy stuff. But look, man, they will, if you go into secondary inspection, they will look at your phone. But that's not a bad thing. I mean, in America, they just let people in. In some countries, they just let people in. And I think that's more dangerous. If you have nothing to hide, then just come. Deal with them looking at your phone. And the majority of the people that I speak with, their phones are not being looked at. I've never had my phone looked at, not one time. And I've come in and out of Russia at least 20 times. So, question, if I marry a Russian woman to bring her to the States and live there, do I still get Russian citizenship? No, you don't even get Russian citizenship for marrying a Russian citizen at all. You don't even get Russian residency for getting married in Russia. So no, you don't get that. Is there any other foreigners where I live? No, there is no foreigners where I live here or Western foreigners, they don't exist in my town. Did they ever go through my phone? No, they never have gone through my phone. Let's see, another question. If relations with West became stronger, would Russian government ease relations with countries like Syria, Iran, and North Korea? There is no world where things can get worse than they can. Like, let's just put it this way. Things can only get better when Trump is here with some of the countries you just named, because actually we saw relationships get better with Trump. Trump walked into North Korea, remember? So some countries are possibly going to be better. Some countries are going to be worse relationship. Hopefully that answers your question. Is your wife a Mexican American? No, my wife is not a Mexican or an American. She's Russian right now, and she'll never be American because America doesn't recognize people's wives. It takes like 10 years, and I don't have 10 years to be in the United States to process this. So I will be getting her Mexican citizenship. That's just how it is. I think that it's the best passport for her because the Mexican passport is a lot stronger than the American one. Are there any restrictions for USA couples wanting to take a 2-week vacation in Russia for next spring? No. There is no restrictions for Americans to travel to Russia right now. Why Siberia? It's cold. All of Russia is cold. All of Russia is miserable. But we have warm sweaters here, so it doesn't matter. I wanted to apply for a visa to Russia, but they ask you if you're pro-Ukraine. No, they don't. No, they don't. They don't ask if you're pro-Ukraine. That is not a question on the visa as far as I'm concerned. I don't think I've ever been asked if I'm pro-Ukraine. So yeah, just curious. What does North Korea did to Trump? What are his feelings? I don't think North Korea did anything to Trump. Trump had good relationships with North Korea. Yes, the Black Sea is warmer, but that is not really a place for Russians. That a lot of tourists go there, a lot of foreigners go there. I wanted to come to Russia. All right. Okay, well, if it's in the application, if you support Ukraine and you want to send weapons to Ukraine, you should probably not come to Russia. That question is asking you if you support Ukraine militarily, not if you support Ukraine. I don't know what other way you can support it. If you support Ukraine militarily, do not come to Russia. Okay, that's my answer. The question is there. I thought you meant like if you support Ukraine in any other way. Updates on the house, thou. We have the whole fence finished. The house is going to be starting next year. Now it's winter. It's very hard to dig. The floor is frozen solid. I don't love the cold, but I don't love not Russia. And I think Krasnodar near the Black Sea is not really Russia. I think Siberia here in Irkutsk is the real Russia. Everybody has their own idea of what Russia is, and they all choose where they want to live. Yeah, so they don't mention any specifics, but that's what they mean. And you shouldn't support Russia either, right? So that question is just to kind of see where your head is, man. I don't support Russia. I'm not Russian. I'll never be Russian. I love Russia. I live here now, and I respect Russia, but I don't support Russia, right? I'm not living here as a resident. I'm not living here as a citizen. So if they ask me, do you support Russia in what? I'm not Russian. If I become a resident, then I will support Russia through taxes and all these different things. But I'm still here in Russia as a tourist. So I do not support any other country besides the United States and Mexico because I am a citizen of those countries. Just get that right, all right? All right. So, please, guys, I did pin our forums there. And we do have visa help. We have visa support through legal attorneys. We have people who actually their job is to get visas for people to come visit Russia. We also have different channels where people share information on how to learn Russian. We have a lot of information on the forums. So if you support Ukrainian independence, that is totally fine. Russia supports Ukrainian independence too. Everybody in Russia supports Ukrainian independence. We have Ukrainians who live in Russia. My neighbor is Ukrainian. So what are you trying to say, man? Like, you need to understand the question. The question is not if you support Ukrainian independence. I am positive what they want to know is if you support Ukraine militarily. That question is there to see who's in their head. What do you think about the events that happened in Syria? So we don't know yet. We don't know yet. What's happening in Syria what's gonna affect Russia, we'll know in the next 24 hours to 48 hours. And we just have to wait. Yeah, we just have to wait. Here in Russia, the news about the Syrian thing, we won't be affected. Everybody who's living in Russia is the same, so it's not going to affect Russia until 48 hours from now. All right, so Josue wants to know, is daily life slower in Russia? I would say the average, even in the cities, is slower than the cities in the United States. Just because here in Russia, you have like leisure time still, right? Like people still take time from work and go and do things. Does that make sense? That's where the time slows down. Everybody in Russia usually has some sort of leisure time still. Even the drunks have leisure time. So yes, on average, I would say people have a more leisure time, which makes time slow down significantly. Do you think the wars will end? No, they will never end. It's just constant. War is constant. Because money pays for war and people need money. If I move to Russia, what would be easier, to get a job or open a business? I think it would be better for you to get a job first, so you learn to speak Russian and you understand Russian laws, and then see what kind of market you can open, like what kind of business you should open. So if you come to Russia, first work and then scope the things out and then open up a job, a market. If you guys want to donate, Peter Udoka, if you guys want to donate, you can donate to my PayPal. It's linked down below. Or you can just do a super chat, which is also an option. I've never really... I don't think I've ever put a... Let me see. So there's a thing where I can put a goal. Wait, why is it in... I guess if I do this, I don't know if it... Let me see. I'm just testing this out really quickly. This is just something new that I saw on the screen. Don't have to do anything about it. This just is they have like a thing for goals. Maybe I'll do this goal stuff in the future whenever I get more comfortable. And I want to tell you guys, I recently did I guess it's a speech, and I did it in 4 languages. And in this 4-language speech, I went to a high school and I invited people to come learn at a university where I'm going to be working at next year, because I got a job offer at a university. I'm going to be working at this university. So I went to a high school to recruit people. And it went something like this. It went like, Добро пожаловать, друзья. Меня зовут Daniel. Я из Лос-Анджелеса, Калифорния. Но я живу в Слюдянке. Я учу русский, но это сложно. Ich kann auch Deutsch, Englisch und Spanisch sprechen, aber mein Deutsch und mein Russisch sind nicht so gut. Also ich werde jetzt in Spanish sprechen. So it went something like this. I lost so much of my German, and then I spoke Spanish and English, but I started my presentation in Russian, and then I moved on to German, and then I ended it with Spanish and Russian and English. And the funny thing was that I realized that I actually know more Russian now in my head. I can speak it a little bit more fluently than my German. And Jesus, it was so hard. It was so hard for me to make a sentence in Russian because it's such a strange language. But my German is absolutely gone. The good thing about potentially, well, next year teaching in the university is that I will be practicing more English, more German, more Russian, more whatever language they make me speak, because it's going to be the State University in Irkutsk in linguistics. So I will be doing different classes in different languages and popping in and out of different classrooms. So it's going to be pretty cool to take part finally using some languages that I learned in the past. English was my first language, Spanish was my second language. I had to learn a little bit of German when I lived in Germany, and I worked in Germany, so I had to learn some German. So yeah. Is there any other questions before we get off of here? By the way, if you're not in our Telegram group, join it. It's the Russian Experience. It's pinned on the chat. Please, I would really appreciate if you join it. And if you have any information, if you have any knowledge to share, if you have any questions, that is the place to go. A lot of people in that chat help each other out. If you've already been through, if you've already learned Russian really well, if you've already had your visa, if you've already traveled through different parts of Russia, you can share your experience on the Russian Experience. That is where we gather. That is where we stay connected. Josue, thank you so much, brother. That is where we do our thing, guys. What a cute little... Is that a fox? That's adorable. I actually saw a fox in real life here. I actually seen a couple fox here in Russia. It's one of the more common animals, like the more common mammals running around, they are usually fox. Do you think Russia will keep their base in Syria, or NATO or US will kick them out? We talked about this. If Russia wants to keep its base, it will probably have to negotiate, because it's not going to keep it militarily. There's no way that Russia can fight a conflict right now in Asia and in Europe. It is not... oh, it's a Shiba dog. Okay, cool. Is it enough to live on 600,000 rubles a month? Yeah. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. 600,000 rubles a month, you can live anywhere in Russia. Depending on how good you are with money, if you're not going to blow it all away on housing, you can live very, very well. Yeah. Hello, fella. I take it all is well. What videos are you planning to do in the wintertime for Siberia? I want to go snowboarding. I'm going to give you guys an exclusive... information now, because usually when people watch live, I give you guys what's going to happen next, and because of a very generous donation from some viewers, there was generous donations from some viewers, not for me, but for the people of Russia, I'm going to be doing, well, I've already recorded a video of me giving away thousands of rubles, thousands and thousands of rubles to an orphanage. That video is going to be coming out next week. I hope that if you're watching this, you tune in next week and you support it and you absolutely share that video. That video is the most important video I've ever made. I was donated thousands and thousands of rubles for Russia, not for myself. It was a little bit over $1,000 that were sent to me to distribute amongst the people who need it the most here in Russia. I was going to give it to the elderly in my town, but I decided to contact an orphanage, and you guys are going to be seeing what happens when you give a little bit of money back into the people. All the money that comes from that video is going to be given back to the people themselves. I'm 100% sure that this is my best video because we saved 2 kids from losing their parents and basically remodeled their interior, their house, so that they could keep their kids. I'm not going to say a lot of more, but just know that the next video is going to be my most important video. How can I share this with you? 1 second. I'm going to share a part of the video with you now. Yes, I'm going to share a part of the video with you. And you know, please guys, I know a lot of YouTubers ask for favors, but if you're watching this, promise me you'll tune in next week and watch this video. Please guys, please. The total for, because it honestly is, it's a game changer for me. For this channel, it's the total for. How do I save this? Okay. 1 second. This next video is going to be the one that it's the only one that means anything on my channel up until now. It's been my absolute dream to be able to give back to the country that has welcomed me with open arms. So what I'm telling you right now is, when you see these next 2 videos that I'm going to show you, you're going to understand what is happening, what this is about. Here we go. Yeah, it is 1:44 in the morning, by the way, here in Siberia. Irina is probably from Irkutsk as well, and we're staying strong through the morning. I'm going to show you these videos. I'll answer your question after I show these videos, okay? Really funny question, but I do have some experience in it. Let me get this ready for you guys. Please stay with me. It's going to be a very important segment here. Let me see. I'm going to open these videos first, and then we're going to watch them. How can I do this? Okay, 1 second. Let me see. It's gonna freeze for. It's gonna freeze for a second. Okay, I think we're back, right? Let me know if you can hear me. Let me know if you can see me, guys. We're getting down to the wire. This is the real deal here. This is why I started this. I mean, this is why now the YouTube channel exists. This is why. I'm going to show it to you. Okay, how do I... And now let me add... And you can see the condition in which this is in. This is absolutely broken. The toilet's not even connected with water, so they are flushing with water. And you can see the condition in which this is in. This is absolutely broken. The toilet's not even connected. Okay, I'm gonna try to show this to you. Bear with me, guys. This is, I don't know how to put this is beating my butt. Why is it on this? You know what? I know what I'm gonna do. Okay, here we go. Bear with me, I am absolutely dumb at this. I think I know what I'm gonna do. And you can see the condition in which this is in. This is absolutely broken. The toilet's not even connected with water, so they are flushing with water that they get probably from the bathtub. The wallpaper in the bathroom is destroyed. The wallpaper is going to be renewed. But this is the main objective, getting them a working toilet. Let's go. Did that work? Sorry about the echo. I have no idea how to show a video on this thing. So I'm going to just answer your question right now. What is my opinion on dating Guatemalan girls? I think Guatemalan girls are a lot closer to Mexican girls. But the southern Mexican girls are a lot sweeter. Guatemalan girls are a lot sweeter than Mexican girls. But from what I know, Guatemalan chicks can be a little bit tricky. They can be deceiving. A lot of Central Americans do have. If she's from Guatemala and in Guatemala, she'll probably want to leave Guatemala, right? So just think about that. But they are sweeter than Mexican girls. Guatemalans are a lot more tender than Mexicans. They're a lot more tender than Salvadorians. Guatemalan girls are supposed to be a lot sweeter if this is a genuine Guatemalan girl. Okay. Let me see. I guess I'm not going to be able to show you, but you're going to have to take my word for it. Unless, yeah, I'm going to have to learn how to do this. Guys, tune in next weekend, please. And if you're watching this, promise me you'll be here next weekend. Promise me you'll be here next weekend, and promise me you'll share the video. You need to share it because the story of these people is crazy. And I'm just so glad that I was given the opportunity by two very genuine, very kind people. They donated over $1,000. Over $1,000 was turned into rubles here in Russia, and it was distributed to the orphanage. So thank you so much. It is 2 in the morning here in Siberia, in Irkutsk Oblast. I'm going to go to sleep. Thanks for everyone who supported this live stream. Please consider hitting like, and remember to join the Russian Experience. It's linked